When you say tension,
Mm.
do you just mean like you're having a lot of soreness on a daily basis, or you're just feeling very tight? Like instead of getting more loose with these
Mm.
big range of motion exercises, were you feeling more tightness? I guess maybe just explain that a little bit.
Okay, so you can have an individual who is strong and mobile and who can reach uh, the end ranges of certain positions. Like I can pretty much get into front splits, but if I work up to it for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. However, the result of that is generally more muscle tone. So not tone in the way that, oh, this guy is toned and he looks ripped, but tone in terms of like actually you feel the muscle and where the muscle should be relaxed and where we should just be laying on the couch and just being completely at rest. Instead, there's this holding tension and
Mm.
tone in the muscle. And whether that's, it's almost certainly got to do with the nervous system and fascia and all the rest of it. But basically, the muscle spindles and are all, tightening
Almost like a
together to
defense
hold.
mechanism. They're
It is
holding.
100%. Yeah. It's
Okay.
100% a defense mechanism because it's tied into the autonomic nervous system and is fight or flight. So essentially, with me, what I'm sort of starting to discover is that I'm holding more of this tension. It's not serving me. So what can I do now to relax and release that? Because I know I'm strong enough. I can I can go and do all these things and I'm fine, but I can get through it. But I'm getting through with a lot more discomfort than I would like to have. So
Hmm.
my focus now, for me personally, is on trying to down regulate the nervous system, trying to bring more stability with diaphragmatic breathing and that intra abdominal pressure, that balloon that we spoke about earlier, so that I don't have to do half an hour of stretching in the morning to remain pain free and balanced.
Yeah. One of
Mm.
the most interesting takeaways for me from that Breathe book was how it related to high altitude sickness.
Mm.
I started to experiment with either devices that would open up my nose more for nighttime, or
Mm.
even the taping your mouth shut aspect of it. And anytime that I do that at high elevation, I track my heart rate, my resting heart rate, pretty closely because I've been able to tie my resting heart rate to my susceptibility of getting altitude sick the next day. There's elements of hydration in that, but there's
Mm.
other elements of just your body, reducing stress per se or feeling, at elevation. And so I have found personally that when I do those types of things at elevations, I'm able to get into a more resting state
Mm.
and have a reduced heart rate when I'm sleeping, and then that ends up reducing my risk of altitude sickness. It seems like the next day. So there really is like a lot of it's like this spider web effect of it just all kind of comes out from that center.
Mm.
Um, but
Is it,
let's change. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say there's many ways to skin a cat as well. Like there's many different modalities that we can implement to see what changes they bring about in the body.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I think
I've
that's the hard part with all of this is life is too short to learn from your mistakes alone, right? So
mm,
you've really got to spend a little bit of time in that education field and go to guys like you and take those shortcuts, right? Because if you've been on a whatever 10 plus year journey or your whole life journey of figuring a lot of these things out, and for a lot of people they could shave years and years off of those times to get to a better place for themselves without having to learn every step of the way firsthand, right? So I think it's always wise, right, to look to the experts and to figure out how to cut some of those corners per se, because life's just too short to make every mistake there is out there.
yeah, absolutely. I'm reminded of that every day when I'm getting a little bit older and like, oh, wish I had this figured out by now.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I think in some ways though, like I think that at my age, it's hard to say this like outright, but I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life, which is pretty cool to be. I don't know what I am, 32 or 33. I should know that. 32. And, but to feel like, hey, I'm in the best shape of my life. Because, I mean, I played sports and stuff when I was younger and dabbled collegiately for a second. And, and just it was to be able to feel like I'm actually in better shape now than then is I think, a pretty cool thing. But I think that the amount of knowledge that I've accumulated over the last decade, really, really plays into that and my abilities, right? But so yeah, I want to come back though to this. Oh, go ahead. I
was going to say, as you get older, I think these more nuanced things become more important. Like when you are 18 or 19, if there's young guys or girls listening to this, there's every likelihood you don't have to worry about this. You just go out and play your sports, have lots of variety, experiment with different things, get as much variety as you can and get that general preparedness up and, do what you can to increase your athleticism, because that's when you put money in the bank for the rest of your life. And I'm part of what I'm doing is trying to get that message across, because from my perspective, the people that I've hung out with and hiked with, they're not always, the most athletic people, and they haven't had a huge background in sports and that kind of thing. And hiking is their only, one of their only physical outlets. So I'm really trying to meld these two worlds of like strength and conditioning and hiking together so that people can have a more well-rounded sort of athletic physique and life and mind. So it's been interesting to see different people come from like different perspectives and different ages of life and go through my training programs and to see how their lives and their hiking has been affected by it.
Yeah. I think when I was about 24, almost or at 24, 25, I gained a bunch of weight. I kind of went through this cycle where I was starting, outdoor vitals and just recently got married and I just kind of quit going to the gym, quit doing all these things. And I gained a bunch of weight and I kept that weight on for a couple of years and then kind of had that moment where I was like, holy cow, like if this is everything I care about in life, but my physical body isn't capable of doing those to the level that I'd like, it was just this real light bulb moment for me where it was like, no, like focusing on health empowers you to do more of everything that you love. If you're listening to this podcast, more than likely the things that you care about are getting into the outdoors, and being in a healthy state is so much more empowering to getting out consistently, to going farther, to experiencing more. That I would absolutely urge you to go and check out, some of Chase's courses and figure some of these things out. And whether that's even like dropping weight or things like that, join our 100-mile challenge, check some of these courses out. Because in the end, like I think my biggest thought now too is like in the longevity side of things, where it's like, man, I want to do these things, but life is short and I want to do these things for a long time. Like I don't want this window to be short that I'm able to go and do all these things that I really, really care about. So, and I feel like that's what people will get out of your courses. And I wanted to maybe bring this conversation back to, I think it's called Mountain Tough Ankles is one of the modules or courses that you teach.
Yeah. Mountain Proof Ankles. Yeah.
Mountain Proof Ankles.
It's a free program that I put out maybe 3 years ago. That's more or less me like just throwing paint on the wall to see what sticks, to be perfectly honest. But tons of people have come back to me and said like this literally changed how I walk. And, for a lot of hikers, a foot problem or an ankle problem is not just a foot problem. It's an identity problem because it prevents you from doing the thing that you love. And that it's such an important part of people's lives. If you're a hiker and that's what you do, a foot problem is not just a foot problem.